There are nights that split your life into two irreconcilable halves, before and after. Nights where every choice you've ever made collapses into a single moment of clarity so brutal it steals the oxygen from your lungs and leaves you gasping in the wreckage of your own creation. This is one of those nights. 3 in the morning, Paris. Rain that tastes like salt and surrendered dreams. And a man sitting alone on a bench, staring at a phone number he knows he will never call. Because the woman on the other end, she doesn't want to hear from him anymore. And the woman he destroyed to find her will never forgive him. This is Lucas Brenner, 34 years old. 6 months ago, he was a successful consultant in Amsterdam. Good salary, clean apartment, organized life, 4-year relationship with a woman he claimed to love. Everything optimized for efficiency, everything under control. Tonight, he sits in the rain 300 kilometers from home, alone, destroyed, unable to return to the life he had because there is no life to return to. He burned it, methodically, deliberately, one lie at a time. People say betrayal happens in an instant. One kiss, one lie, one moment of weakness that detonates a life. But that's not how it happened for Lucas. For him, betrayal was slow, methodical. A series of small treasons he convinced himself didn't count. It started with a misdialed number, one digit wrong, 10 seconds of confusion, and a voice he should have hung up on immediately, but he didn't. And that hesitation, that 10-second pause where curiosity eclipsed loyalty, shattered 3 lives beyond recognition. This is the story of that wrong number. This is the story of how a man destroyed the woman who loved him for the seductive mystery of someone he would never truly know. This is the story of emotional infidelity, the kind that leaves no physical evidence but creates casualties nonetheless. This is a story about distance, about loneliness, about the lies we tell ourselves when we're too cowardly to face what we've become. And this is a confession, not for forgiveness. There is no forgiveness here, only truth. Raw, unsparing, necessary. By the time you realize what you've done, the people you've obliterated are already ghosts. And you become a stranger even to yourself. Let me take you back. 6 months before that rain-soaked bench. 6 months before Lucas understood what he had lost. Back to Amsterdam. Back to a night in March when his life was still intact, and he was too numb to appreciate it. Amsterdam is a city built on water and compromise. Canals that refuse to flow in straight lines. Bridges connecting neighborhoods that were never meant to touch. Land reclaimed from the sea through engineering and stubborn human will. It's beautiful in the way museums are beautiful, carefully curated, preserved behind glass, safe, sterile, dead. Lucas Brenner loved Amsterdam. He loved its order, its efficiency, its resistance to chaos. It mirrored the life he'd constructed for himself, controlled, predictable, emotionally airtight. That should have been his first warning. When you build a life that never surprises you, you've built a tomb. This is Lucas, senior consultant at a tech firm most people have heard of but couldn't explain. He solves problems for corporations that don't want to admit they have them, makes systems more efficient, identifies variables, minimizes risk, optimizes outcomes. He's very good at it, perhaps too good, because somewhere along the way, he began applying the same clinical precision to his personal life. Relationships became systems to be optimized. Emotions became variables to be controlled. Love became a process to be managed. And the woman who loved him became a problem he no longer knew how to solve. Her name was Anna Rousseau, art curator, 32 years old. Parisian not by birth, but by the way she moved through the world, as if beauty were a language only, she spoke fluently. They met 4 years ago at a gallery opening in Brussels. She stood in front of a painting he didn't understand, abstract expressionism, colors bleeding into each other without apparent purpose. And when he admitted his confusion, she didn't explain it. She just smiled and said, "Not everything needs to be understood to be felt." He fell in love with her immediately, because she was everything he wasn't, intuitive where he was analytical, chaotic where he demanded order, present where he was always 3 steps ahead, calculating outcomes, preparing for disasters that would never arrive. She made him feel less alone in his own skin. Or so he told himself. For 2 years, they existed in the same city. Brussels first, where they met, then Amsterdam when Lucas's job demanded it. Anna followed without hesitation, found work at a gallery in the Jordan district, rented a studio apartment with terrible heating and windows that faced a brick wall, and rent that consumed half her salary. She never complained. She said love was about building a life together, brick by brick, compromise by compromise, not demanding the perfect one immediately. Lucas should have married her then, when she still believed he was capable of that kind of commitment, when she still looked at him like he hung the moon, when forever still felt possible, but he didn't, because marriage felt like a door closing, and he wasn't ready to stop imagining what lay beyond it. 2 years into their time in Amsterdam, Anna received an offer she couldn't refuse. Chief curator position at a prestigious gallery in Paris. Her dream job. The kind of opportunity you don't turn down for a man who hasn't proposed, for a future he won't commit to, for promises he's afraid to make. Lucas told her to take it. He said they'd make long-distance work, said it was only 300 kilometers, said technology had made distance irrelevant. Video calls, weekend visits, constant connection. What he meant was, I'm relieved to have space between us, relieved to not feel the weight of your expectations every morning, relieved to be alone with my controlled, predictable existence where I don't have to pretend to be someone capable of the love you deserve. Anna moved to Paris. Lucas stayed in Amsterdam. And for 2 years, they existed in a strange limbo, officially together, functionally separate, telling themselves and everyone else that distance makes the heart grow fonder. But distance doesn't make the heart grow fonder. Distance makes the heart grow forgetful. They video called every Wednesday and Sunday, scheduled like business meetings, optimized for efficiency. Lucas visited Paris once a month, weekends carefully planned weeks in advance, train tickets booked at optimal prices, hotels chosen for their proximity to Anna's apartment, and favorable cancellation policies. Anna visited Amsterdam less often. Her job was demanding, she said. The gallery needed her. She couldn't just leave. Lucas believed her. Or maybe he just preferred the narrative where neither of them was to blame for the slow erosion. They said, I love you reflexively, the way you say bless you after a sneeze. Automatic, expected, emptied of meaning through repetition until the words became just sounds. 3 syllables, signifying nothing, protecting everything, maintaining the fiction that they were still the people they'd been 4 years ago. They weren't. But Lucas didn't know he was unhappy. Unhappiness requires awareness, self-reflection, the willingness to ask yourself if the life you're living is the life you want. Lucas didn't ask those questions. He optimized instead, made his apartment more efficient, his career more successful, his existence more streamlined. He filled his days with productivity and his nights with silence and convinced himself this was contentment. He mistook emptiness for peace, and by the time he realized the difference, it was too late to go back. The day it happened was unremarkable. Thursday, March 14th, a day that should have disappeared into the forgettable blur of all the days that came before it. Lucas worked 14 hours on a presentation no one would remember, attended 4 meetings that could have been emails, responded to 63 messages that could have been ignored, ate lunch at his desk, something beige and forgettable from the canteen downstairs, drank coffee that had gone cold 3 hours ago, smiled at colleagues whose names he couldn't quite remember, participated in conversations he would forget before they ended. By the time he left the office, Amsterdam had already surrendered to night. The canals reflected streetlights like veins of copper. Cyclists moved past in silence, their bells occasionally punctuating the quiet. The city hummed with a contentment he didn't share. He was exhausted, not physically, existentially. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The kind that accumulates when you realize you've been performing your own life instead of living it. When you understand that every day is identical to the one before and the one that will follow. When you wake up and can't remember why you're supposed to care. He wanted to hear Anna's voice. Not because he missed her specifically, but because routine was the only structure he had left. Because Thursday night meant calling Anna. Because if he didn't maintain the patterns, the entire fiction would collapse. He pulled out his phone, scrolled to Anna's contact. Her name glowed on the screen. Anna. The heart emoji had been her addition. He'd never had the heart to remove it, even though he couldn't remember the last time it meant anything. But he didn't press call. He rarely did anymore. Video calls required energy he didn't have. The performance of being present. The exhausting pretense of intimacy across 300 kilometers of fiber optic cable. The careful cultivation of expressions and responses that suggested he was still the man she remembered. So instead, he typed her number from memory. A small rebellion against the efficiency he preached. A way to pretend he still knew her by heart. Looking back, he would wonder if some part of him knew. If his subconscious, drowning in the slow suffocation of a love he'd stopped tending, made his fingers slip on purpose. A cry for help disguised as an accident. An unconscious act of self-destruction from a man who couldn't admit he wanted out but didn't have the courage to leave. But that's giving him too much credit, assigning intention to entropy. The truth is simpler and more damning. He was too tired to care. Hello. He should have apologized immediately, hung up, dialed the correct number, laughed about it later. Remember that time I called a stranger thinking it was you? But he didn't, because there was something in that voice. Not seduction, not flirtation, something else. Fragility, need. The sound of someone standing on the edge of something and hoping, desperately, unconsciously, that someone might call them back from it. And Lucas, drowning in his own numbness, recognized it, because he was standing on an edge too. Anna is an art curator in Paris. They've been together 4 years, long distance for the last 2. Their routine, weekly video calls, monthly visits. They say I love you automatically now, not coldly, just habitually. They were comfortable, and comfort, they would learn, is just another word for slow decay. Lucas has had a brutal 14-hour workday, exhausted, wants to hear Anna's voice. He's programmed her number by memory. But tonight, his finger slips. 1 digit off, 3 rings. He's confused. Anna usually answers immediately. Hello. It's not Anna, but it's soft, hesitant, almost fragile. There's city noise in the background, Paris city noise. Anna, you sound different. I'm sorry, who? Oh, wrong number, I apologize. Wait, don't hang up. What? Could you talk for a moment? Just exist on the line? Lucas should hang up, but something in her voice stops him. They talk for 7 minutes, about nothing, weather, traffic, how Paris feels at night. She never gives her name, neither does he. When they hang up, he feels something he hasn't felt in months, curiosity. He told himself it was harmless, a wrong number, a brief conversation with a stranger. But deep down, he knew, the moment he didn't hang up, everything changed. The next day, Lucas calls Anna. The conversation feels flat compared to the night before. He finds himself distracted, thinking about the stranger's voice. He debates calling the number again. That evening, he calls. She answers. She said, I was hoping you'd call back. Lucas asked why. She said, because last night, for 7 minutes, I didn't feel alone. They talk for 40 minutes this time. She tells him about Paris from the perspective of someone who's lived there too long. The beauty becomes invisible. He tells her about Amsterdam, how the canals feel like veins of a city that's too calm. Still no names exchanged, but he learns. She works in a bookshop. She reads late at night. She hasn't been happy in a long time. Lucas lies in his bed that night and Anna texts, good night, love you. He replies, love you too. Then he stares at the ceiling. He told himself I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just talking. But lies we tell ourselves are always the most dangerous. Over the next 2 weeks, Lucas talked with her every night, sometimes twice. The conversations deepen. She reveals she almost didn't answer that first call. She was standing on her balcony, contemplating something final. His call pulled her back inside. Lucas feels responsible for her now, and needed. His calls with Anna become shorter. He starts making excuses, Tired from work, headache, need to sleep early. Anna notices but doesn't push. She's busy with a gallery opening. Anna asks, "Are you okay? You seem distant." "Just work stress. I'm fine." He spoke first lie spoken aloud. Distance makes it easier to lie. Not because they can't see your face, but because you can't see theirs break. 3 weeks in, she finally asks, "What's your name? I feel like I'm talking to a ghost." Lucas hesitates. Giving his name makes it real. He tells her, "Lucas." She whispers, "Margot." Once they have names, the intimacy deepens dangerously. Margot asks, "Are you in a relationship?" Lucas said, "It's complicated." Margot, "Isn't everything?" They don't talk about it further. Both prefer the ambiguity. That night, Lucas saves her number in his phone. Not under Margot, under M, as if hiding her even from himself. Anna surprises Lucas with a weekend visit. She wants to reconnect. She senses something is wrong. Lucas panics internally. He hasn't spoken to Margot in 2 days to prepare for this. They go to museums, eat at their favorite restaurant, walk the canals, but Lucas is distracted. His phone buzzes. Margot texted, "Are you okay? You disappeared." He deletes it before Anna sees. Anna and Lucas are in bed. She tries to initiate intimacy. He's distant, distracted. Anna stops, sits up, looks at him. "Where are you, Lucas?" Lucas, "What do you mean? I'm right here." She said, "No, you're not. You haven't been for weeks." He doesn't deny it. He doesn't explain. He just holds her. But it feels like holding someone goodbye. After Anna leaves, Lucas calls Margot immediately. "Lucas, I need to tell you something." Margot asked, "You have a girlfriend?" Lucas, stunned. "How did you—" "I'm not stupid, Lucas. I heard it in your voice. The way you talk about loneliness, like someone who isn't actually alone." "Do you love her?" she asks. I did. I do. I don't know anymore." Margot asks, "Then why are you talking to me?" He said, "Because when I talk to you, I feel like I can breathe." Margot doesn't respond immediately. That's not fair to her, or to me. "I know," Lucas said. "So what are you going to do?" Lucas doesn't answer. Margot says softly, "If you're going to destroy her heart, at least be honest about why." She hangs up. Lucas spirals. He doesn't call Anna for 3 days. He doesn't call Margot either. He's paralyzed by guilt and desire. Then Anna calls him. "I found the call logs on our shared phone bill." Silence. Anna asks, "Who is she?" Lucas flies to Paris to face Anna in person. They meet in Anna's apartment. Anna doesn't yell. She's eerily calm. "Just tell me the truth, all of it." He confesses. The wrong number. The conversations. The emotional affair. He doesn't minimize it. He doesn't make excuses. Anna listens, then asks one question. "Do you have feelings for her?" I don't know." And there it is. Not a denial, not a defense, just uncertainty, which is somehow worse than yes. Because yes would be honest. This is just cowardice. That's a yes. She doesn't yell, doesn't scream, just states it as fact. And somehow that's more devastating than rage would be. "Anna, I don't. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't tell me it didn't mean anything. Because if it didn't mean anything, you wouldn't have done it 17 times. You wouldn't have spent hours talking to her while lying to me. You wouldn't be standing there right now unable to say you don't have feelings for her. I loved you. I loved you. I moved cities for you. I accepted long distance when you wouldn't commit. I made excuse after excuse for why you seemed distant, why you weren't present, why loving you felt like pulling teeth lately. And the whole time, you were falling for someone else. Lucas, please know. You don't get to please me. You made your choice. Every night you called her instead of me. Every time you lied about being tired. Every time you said, I love you while thinking about her. You chose her. You just didn't have the courage to tell me." That night, Lucas Brenner, a successful consultant, a man who prided himself on control and optimization, returned to Amsterdam and sat alone in his apartment and felt the full weight of his choices settle over him like a shroud. This was it. This was the life he'd built, optimized for efficiency, Emptied of love, stripped of connection, perfect in its isolation, he destroyed Anna to escape this loneliness. But the loneliness followed him because it wasn't circumstantial. It was internal, a hollowness he carried with him, a void he tried to fill with other people instead of doing the hard work of filling it himself. And now he had nothing. No girlfriend, no fantasy, no escape. Just himself, and the devastating understanding that himself wasn't enough. 6 months after that rain-soaked night in Paris, 3 lives continue. Separate, healing, forever altered by a wrong number and the lies that followed. Anna is in a new relationship, learning to trust again, learning that not all men are emotionally unavailable, that presence is possible, that love doesn't have to hurt. Margot is learning to be alone without being lonely, learning that her worth isn't determined by who chooses her, that she can save herself. That wrong numbers sometimes teach you exactly what you don't want. And Lucas is learning to be present, to be honest, to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, to understand that love isn't about finding someone who makes you feel alive. It's about being alive enough to love someone properly. He's not there yet. Maybe he never will be, but he's trying. And trying, imperfect and insufficient as it is all any of us can do. Before you leave, I want to ask you something. Have you ever destroyed something beautiful, chasing something that only existed in your imagination? Have you ever been Anna, loving someone who was already gone? Have you ever been Margot, so desperate for connection you'd accept crumbs? Or have you been Lucas, too cowardly to face what you had until it was taken away? If this story made you feel something, if it reminded you of a choice you made or a person you lost, leave a comment for everyone else who's carrying the same weight, because sometimes the only way to heal is to know you're not alone. If this story meant something to you, like this video, subscribe, because the next story is already waiting. And this time, you won't walk it alone.